Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thanks for joining us in person and virtually for our first post-pandemic Coffee with a Cop. So this is the first time in a little over 2 years that we've been back in person. So I hope you enjoy the coffee. I hope it's as good as it was before. You know, Cop coffee, so it's pretty rough. But we have a really important topic, and that's the point of the meeting this morning, just to get to know us a little better, and then also to hear from Melissa Sutton, who's our presenter today. Melissa's from the Drowning Prevention Coalition, and you know it's been a tough time in Paradise Valley for drownings. We've had 2 near drowning incidents in the last 6 months. So Melissa is timely, and hopefully we'll have some great tips that you can use in order to prevent drowning in your pool, either by your grandchildren or children. So without further ado, Melissa, thanks for coming today, and welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this, and absolutely correct. This is, you know, Stephen and I, when we first spoke about coming to speak to you today, we talked about how drowning is a year-round problem, and we'll get to that here in a second. I'm going to just kind of introduce you to who the Drowning Prevention Coalition of Arizona is. We'll get to that in a second, but we're getting into the scary part of the year, and our job is to really try to make it so these guys don't have to run calls. We're really trying to get the word out and educate, and today's also going to be full of a lot of resources for you. You'll always be able to reach out to me. I brought some cards. I also have some handouts over there that you guys are welcome to. So we're an organization that started at the tail end of the 80s. So we've been around for 33 years, and it was, of course, because our drowning rates were just skyrocketing, and I'll show you a couple of slides on that. So I am Melissa Sutton. I am a serial water safety advocate. I've been serving 10 years with the Drowning Prevention Coalition of Arizona, and I'm also serving 9 years with the National Drowning Prevention Alliance. So I have a good scope on what's happening nationally as well as locally, and I like to bring those in because it's really important for us. We, you know, lead in pools, certainly, and we are a leading state in the nation. We're a top 4 state for drowning, and we're the only one that does not have a coastline. It's California, Florida, and Texas. So Arizona is the only landlocked state. So that should really start sending flags up for people. So we're going to play this video. We hope it clicks on this. We'll see. Or you're going to just go for it. So this is our mission statement. The Drowning Prevention Coalition is a community-based organization comprised of parents, health and safety professionals, business leaders. Exists to provide a forum to prevent drowning, non-fatal drownings through the promotion of education, legislative action, and enhanced product safety. So just a quick note on us. We originally started as a legislative-based organization. We were trying to go after barrier codes, just putting it out there. But we realized quickly that that is an arduous task. It takes lots of money, and oftentimes even when you get a law passed, you can't get it enforced. So we said, you know, we got to educate, just simple education. So that's what we do. So again, we talked about how it's important, it's so important for you all to know that drowning happens year-round in Arizona. And I'll show you some statistics here in just a moment of how the year has already started for us. And we track our numbers through our EMS system. We look at 6 database sets, but for real time, we look at our fire departments. They turn in numbers to us every month, hopefully by the 2nd or 3rd of the month, for us to know how many calls were ran. We track as much as we can, whether it's fatal or non-fatal, because I think you guys know that there's a lot of money that goes into running a call, transporting, hospitalization, long-term respite care. It really adds up after a while. But we need to focus on that. Arizona, we have beautiful weather. This is why we live here, but it happens year-round. So again, this is stacking up to everybody else. This is as of 2017. I have more current data, but it doesn't look as pretty as this one, and it hasn't changed much, sadly. But what's interesting right here, the U.S. rate is 2.2. We're at 4.4, so we're double the U.S. rate for drownings. So just it's just an FYI, very interesting for you. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what your religion is. It doesn't care what your skin color is. It doesn't care what school you went to. We know it takes anybody's life at any moment if you're not practicing the simple steps that could save lives. And we'll go over that stuff because we do know facts. We do track data. We look at everything to be able to tell you. But I tell you what, I see that there's more men in the room than women. You guys are higher risk. Pretty much for everything. You guys have a, that adrenaline and the testosterone that outweighs ours. We know that right now it's pretty much the 1 to 4 year range. It's the #1 cause of death for children ages 1 to 4. So if you have a child or grandchild or a neighbor, this is an important statistic for you to know. It is injuries by gender. It doesn't matter your age. You're just more at risk because there's more at-risk behavior. What I like about this one, and again, this is a lot from some are local resources and some are national. This is through the LV project. Dana Gage's son, Connor Gage, drowned in a lake. He was 14, jumped off a boat dock, and they couldn't find him for about 2 hours. And what this is saying is in pools, the risk is higher for younger kids. And as we get older, that risk reduces, but then we get more risky out in lakes. Again, because of all the factors that they're used to swimming in a pool. They see the black line on the bottom. They see the bottom, the depth is marked out on the lake. You have fast, swift water. You've got undulating, you've got trees, you've got rocks. There's so many things that people don't take into account. They think it translates easily. We love to point this out to Arizona Child Fatality Review Team report. It comes out every November. I sit on the Child Fatality Review Team for others. I don't sit on homicide, suicide, or motor vehicular. Ours covers fentanyl, so toxicology and drowning, suffocation, things like those. So we put this report together through a state epidemiologist, and it comes out every November. It goes to the governor's desk first, and then mine. So he gets eyes on it first, and then we get eyes on it. But it's a great resource for you to actually go see. It tells you what types of bodies of water, who's drowning, at what times of day, what days of the week. So it's just a really good resource for you to just kind of say, hey, what's happening? Or if you're going to be talking about drowning prevention in any of the organizations you are with, this is a great report. This is the one that we put together. Again, this is on the Children's Safety Zone. This is Ed Swift. He's a local business owner. Swift Office Solutions has been doing this for years. He was like, why aren't we tracking data out here? Why do I hear on the news every day that there's a drowning and nobody seems to care? So he started tracking this back in the 80s, and it's now like kind of the standard out there. Again, we still follow hospital data. We still follow CDC. We still follow all those data. But this tells me what's happening in the trends. I can see it immediately. I can know. And from the EMS reports, I know if the child was wearing a swimsuit, was it swim time, or did they get in the pool when it wasn't supposed to be a designated swim time? Was CPR started right away? Because we know that the chances of CPR getting started right away helps with the outcome versus somebody where it's delayed. So this breaks it down by city. So you'll see Phoenix, Avondale, Buckeye. What I think is important for you guys to know is this is through March 31st. So this is very, very current data. We've already had 10 fatalities. But what's even more interesting are 7 of those are adults, 3 are pediatrics. Now the media typically only follows pediatric drownings unless it's something crazy out of the lake, like the electric shock drowning or things like that. But in Arizona, it's a very interesting phenomenon. Our adults are drowning twice the rate of kids. Now everyone seems to care about, like, oh my gosh, what about the children? And I'm like, well, don't we care about everyone? So that's just important for you guys to know, because sometimes it's open water for our adults. It's bad decisions being made with drugs and alcohol involved, high speed on rental vehicles. By the way, rentals are the 100% of accidents out there. If you're a boat owner, it's a very rare occurrence that you're in an accident, but the rentals are the ones that are going to smash into you. So careful with those. But it's also our senior communities, and we like to go speak out at those because it's contraindications to medication. Maybe a medication you just started, you up the dosage and it makes you woozy and you fall into the pool or cleaning it, or maybe you're not supposed to be out in the sun as much, and now you're outside in the pool or whatever, and something happens. What I love to say about this is always have a buddy with you, no matter what, no matter age, because I enjoy having a glass of wine in the hot tub. That makes me happy. But if I'm out there alone and have a cardiac or an aneurysm, if somebody's with me, they can pull me out and start CPR, activate EMS, do all those things immediately. Whereas if I'm in the space by myself, no one's there, I'm not going to survive it. I possibly could if it's a medical event, but now if nobody's there, I'm going to drown. So those are our numbers, and thank you for those who contribute to that. Let's see. So this is just a comparison of the last 3 years real quick. So this is water related incidents from January of the year we're currently in to March 31st. So again, our numbers are, our pediatrics have gone up. That's a big factor for us. We believe that COVID has played into that with the kids being at home and parents being distracted working from home. So we've definitely put messaging out and tried to educate on that, but we also haven't been able to be in the schools. We haven't been able to be there year round in the schools educating the kids on how to be safe around water and what to do in an instant, you know, if they see somebody kind of thing. So again, you guys see our adults, they're up there, but that's where we're at for right now. And again, this year is not a good year. And this is January through March. So these are when our pools are cold, our lakes are cold. We're still losing lives. The number one, by far the best way to stop a drowning in a backyard pool and spa is having a barrier in place. When I sit at this child fatality review teams, it's our job to determine, you know, if where the failure was. And it's not on a parent. I want to make sure you guys know that. We all have to go to the bathroom. We all turn away for a second. These are truly accidents. But if you have that barrier in place and layers of protection we talk about, but every time we sit down and we say, if the barrier was either in proper working order or in place, that child's life would have been saved. So that's the number one easy fix, by the way. And then this is what I kind of talked about earlier. Follow me, please. This is the year that we started really tracking data. It was the 80s because it was just horrific. Oh my gosh, look what we got in the 22.2 per 100,000. And you saw that now we're at 4.4, and like the state or the national average is 2.2. This is where we enacted the state barrier law. So there has to be a barrier. And again, it's usually for 6 and under living in the home, depending on city to city. But look, just with that one. And then of course we had other programs that came into play throughout the years. So very important that, you know, sometimes just one program, one effort can make a difference. The number one reason that people drown out in open water, not having a life jacket on. It's very interesting to me. I'll go out with the sheriff's office on patrol sometimes. People who own their own kayaks, they're in life jackets. Their dogs are in life jackets. By the way, 100% of dogs on the rivers are on life jackets, which I'm like, oh, you care more about your dog than yourself. Okay. It's the rentals. It's the rentals. And I've walked up to a counter before and have them be like, oh, you can wear this if you want or not. Just have it on the boat. I'm like, great. It's the one thing that floats, which you don't if you're knocked out. It's going to be on that one thing that already floats, the other thing that floats. So maybe we just put it on. Simple step. It saves a life. And Pool Safely is our government campaign. It is through the Virginia Graham Baker Act, which was enacted under the Bush administration. It was about pool drains and drain covers and staying away from them because hair and jewelry entrapment issues. But out of it also, it gets funded about $2 million a year to go toward programs in the community. So, but again, I love their logo, Simple Steps Save Lives. Throw on a life jacket, put a pool fence around. You would eliminate so much risk. I have our banner and I have these back at the end of the counter. This is again our kind of our Simple Steps Saves Lives, ABCDs of water safety. A is adults, having an active, sober adult supervision. And I also have these back there. I love these. They're like my little lanyards that I'm a water watcher. If you have a pool party, we just recommend having one person designated for 15-20 minutes. That's it. Nobody wants to be at the party unless you've hired a lifeguard to stare at the pool. But they're actively watching the pool. They have this on. 15-20 minutes later, you find the next sober adult and say, would you mind being the next person in charge for 15-20 minutes? Because what happens is you think I'm watching, I think you're watching, and nobody's watching, and then that's when bad things happen. Simple things like this can easily save lives and just let you know that you've got somebody, you know, looking at the water for that time. And then you can have what was going to set out to be a great day, continue to be a great day and not have these folks show up at your house in very sad circumstances. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna go back to, and then B is for barriers, C is for classes and Coast Guard approved life jackets. Classes meaning swim lessons for anybody, but certainly kids would love to get everybody swimmers. And then CPR classes, making sure that you're certified. It's always going to come in handy. And then the Coast Guard approved life vests. Make sure they're Coast Guard approved. It's important because there's some out there that just aren't, and they're not tested. So that's why we don't know how they'll perform. And D is for drains, as we talked about the Virginia Ground Maker Act. If you don't have a pool drain that meets those standards, because it's not regulated in residential, it is for municipal and commercial. But what you do is if your drain cover is flat, it's not compliant. That's how if somebody were to step on it or sit on it, it could entrap them. And that section is difficult. Now there's pumps out there that have kind of offset this over the last 10 years, 12 years that this law has been enacted. But just take a look at your drain and make sure it's safe. There's lots of resources we have. Our website is preventdrownings.org. I've got pens back there that have our address on it. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the stuff. We do have a first grade curriculum. So if you have a tie to a school, we'd love to get that in. It's free, it's downloadable, it's PDF, it's everything you can imagine. English, Spanish. It's a great way to introduce this in first grade, keeping kids safer on water. We do pool and spa safety checklists. We do that with our independent pool and spa folks. They're the ones that can go into the backyard and not have to call these guys. They're legally allowed to be there. Whereas if I just walk in, I have to be invited. So we just kind of go through, and it's not up to compliance. We're not calling the city. We're not doing anything. We're just saying, hey, if you do just do these little things, your backyard will be much safer. That's all that is. And then our Water Smart Babies program, where we work with the pediatricians to prescribe swim lessons. Obviously, you don't need prescription for swim lessons, but it encourages that conversation early on in life, because a lot of times nobody's talking about it until they're 4. Well, we just learned that 1 to 4 is the most dangerous time for them. Oh, that's a pool and spa checklist that I go through. There are life jacket loaner stations out at the lakes. Right now there are, I believe, 18 that are up. There's 18 more scheduled to go in. Obviously, COVID and supply chain has put a slowdown to that, but they're great. We get these supplied out there. Game and Fish are the ones who put it up. Department of Corrections makes them for us, makes the stations for us. The Sheriff's Office help keep us stocked and let us know when things are running low. So it's a great collaborative effort, and they're out there. The idea is that you loan it for the day. If yours blew out of the boat on the way out to the lake, or all of a sudden somebody shows up and you're like, oh, we didn't realize you're going to be here. So everyone has a life jacket. We love it when they're wet. Some do get stolen. We understand that. I'd rather have somebody take it with them and know that that life is saved than I go ask for another one. Not a problem. Don't just take them. Like, return them. Here are some more materials through the National Drowning Prevention Alliance and the Pool Safely about portable pools. That was a huge thing during COVID. Everybody bought these and then didn't know how to take care of them. And then we saw an uptick on drownings in those. So some great resources there. SRP, they're great friends of ours. They have the little pads of paper back there. They have that. They have coloring books. They printed our sign for us. They're great partners because they control the canal systems. So you can go on and request free materials. Again, if you're part of a group that wants to have free materials somewhere, go for it. And then we talked about this really quick yesterday. I guess there's been an issue with shallow water blackout. I'm not sure how it's happening, if it's a sport or some sort of breathing mechanism, but it's a big problem when people hold their breath and then try and swim or swim to the other side. Don't let people play those games, please. It's not good. Your very own Michael Phelps and ASU's very own Bob Bowman have actually partnered with the shallow water blackout prevention to let people know what a dangerous thing this is and that people will die from this. So it's a great resource, shallowwaterblackout.org. I highly recommend you go there just to familiarize yourself with that. There's also Not Out of the Water. I'm sure some of you have heard in the, you know how media likes to sensationalize things, and you guys have no idea about that, right? Was it parking lot drowning, dry drownings, all that stuff? It doesn't exist. It's not even a thing, by the way. Every case that we followed up with that where a child was admitted to the hospital or had intake of too much water, and then later on it was a medical event. It was something with the heart. It was something with the lungs that was already either found through the autopsy, or it was something that had been diagnosed previous. Not Out of the Water is a great resource for this. About what it's like. You can ingest too much water, and it can be scary for you. You just go to the hospital. They're going to observe you for 8 hours. After 8 hours, if there's no signs or symptoms, it's not going to be related to that incident. It will be related to something else, some other medical condition. But this is a great resource for you guys to go learn more about that. And then Collins Hope is great for our younger learners. They have this whole water safety quiz and things that you can go on. They also have materials and water safety games. So I'm just trying to show you guys some resources out there as you guys are now going out and talking about what you learned today. Just trying to give you the span of the gamut of what's available. This is really interesting, and when we get finished here, I'm going to leave this for you guys to look at. This is, some people think of it as scary at first. These are families who have lost, and a lot of these are kids because these are pool drownings. There's also Waves of Hope, which we'll get to that one next, which is open water and boat fatalities. But this is what's nice is they have their child and what happened that day, so you understand what happened that day. But on the back is what the family has done to make sure nobody else drowns. This is their paying it forward. This is their foundation work that they're doing. So it's that ray of hope of, okay, it's sad that we did lose Braden, but here's what the family's done to save so many more lives. So this is really interesting. I highly encourage you guys to take a minute to read through some of those stories. And then I just mentioned Waves of Hope. That's our open water boating safety. They also have a packet like this. I couldn't find it last night when I was looking for it. Probably gave it away to somebody. But it's great. They're really good about letting you know that you're not the only one. There's a group of people out there that can be there for you if something were to happen. And I'm just going to tell you, if you're ever interested in coming out to some of our events, they're starting to come back, just like this one. So we're excited about that. You just go to preventdrownings.org. That's our website. We have a calendar feature. And on it, you can see right there, we're at Coffee with a Cop. Look at that. You guys made it to the first one. Congratulations. But in Tucson, there's the home show. We're going to be doing a presentation down there. I'll be next week at the National Water Safety Conference. We've got the Desert Pool and Spa show coming up. So we're going to work with the pool and spa people to help them facilitate conversations with their homeowners. And then we do have general meetings coming up. We also hybrid them. We've been doing it since before it was cool. But our next one's at Mesa Fire Medical in May. August is down in Tucson. We try and get statewide. We are a statewide agency. And then December, we're out on the west side at Goodyear Parks and Rec. In August, we also have an awards breakfast, which we'll start sending information out so you can submit for people who are doing great work in the community to have them recognized. And we give you breakfast, and it's lovely, and it's fun. So have we made a difference? So the rates of child incidents and deaths in pools in Maricopa County for the early part of the 2010 decade have been cut in half compared to the rates in the 80s and 90s. That was from an annual report for water-related incidents. So this is 0 to 4-year-olds. In 1988, there were 64.8 per 100,000. 2015, there were 8.1. 2018, there were 4.4. As we go back to here, this is as of 2019 to use hospital data. It's a little bit pretty quick. So we're working hard, but we can't do it alone. We need people like you guys to help us, have us out, educate, have us give you materials to take someplace else. We are 100% volunteer. We have no paid staff, and we've been doing this for 33 years. So that's a big thing for us. So here's how you can help. You can donate time, talent, and treasure to sponsor an event, attend an event, invite us to speak, join a committee, join us, be on our board, be on our advisory council. You can follow us on our website, our YouTube, and Facebook. That's all we're doing right now because that's all I can handle. But we have Super Bowl coming. So if you guys know of anybody who's going to be getting Airbnbs, you have them yourself, please let us put together like a welcome kit for you for a family who has small children, because that's when we also see a spike is during what's happening right now, spring training. I'm like, where's that word? And because we're hosting Super Bowl next year, we are really concerned about this. We also have some swag on our website. It's cool. We have some State 48 t-shirts and stickers. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and hop onto the website. But that's all I have for you today.
Any questions for Melissa? Questions about drowning?
What causes your passion for this cause?
That's a good question. question. I was born here in Arizona, but I grew up on Lake Michigan. At the age of 4, we moved to Michigan. I went to high school there. I love it because of where I grew up and the love of water and everything. But in all honesty, I became a lifeguard at 15 only because all of my siblings, I'm one of 7, worked in fast food, and they came home smelling like grease every night. And I was like, I am not doing that job. What do I want to do? So of course, lifeguards, they look cool. And, that was back in the David Hasselhoff days and, all that good stuff. So it was purely for, those reasons. But then you realize how quickly that you are a first responder. You were the first one there to help somebody out of the water before you activate the EMS. And then I went on to have a degree in prevent biology, and then I went into degree into nonprofit management. So it all kind of accumulates. But I was, swimmer, diver through college, all that stuff. Now do triathlons. And so it's just that love of water, I think, that has always kept me engaged. And then once you start meeting these families and knowing that the simplest steps can make a difference. When I got to speak at like schools or preschools, I was telling them, like, okay, I told your principal or your teacher that we're here to talk water safety today, and we'll get to it, I promise. But what I'm doing is I'm turning you guys into superheroes. After today, you're going to know at least 6 things that you're going to have superhero power. And they're like, wait, what? Instead of chasing the butterflies, they're all of a sudden like, I've got superpowers. Wait, hold on. And so I'm trying to get like this little army out there of like kids scanning the pool and being like, want to be the first to be like, something's happening over here. So I don't know. That's just
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
Other questions? Melissa, thank you so much. It's traditional in law enforcement to give a challenge coin for somebody who's done a great job. And I'm appreciative of your work with the Drowning Prevention Coalition, and appreciative of you visiting Paradise Valley today.
Thank you for having me.
Speaking of superheroes, we got some of the best in blue in the back. Also in the middle, there are a couple of investigators. I would certainly encourage you to reach out to them and get to know them individually, so that instead of knowing the cops, Nigel, or Steve, or Curtis, instead of knowing just somebody in blue. That's really important. We try to make it a family atmosphere so that you don't worry about, hey, what are they going to think of me? Because these guys are superheroes back there. Commander Carney, Chris Hadley, Derek in the center as well. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you for visiting us today. Any words of encouragement to the town of Paradise Valley?
Yeah, thank you so much, Chief. Appreciate it. And thanks, and great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great to see everybody here in person. Hopefully this crowd continues to grow, and we do have a lot of superheroes in this room. So I'm proud to be with you all. This is great information. I'd definitely like to talk to you about ways that we can help. We do have some great schools in the town, and whatever the town can do, whatever I can do. I have a first grader, and I think she'd love to hear about her new superhero powers that she could gain. And that's really exciting. And it's one of the things on our agenda to integrate on those kinds of community efforts with our schools. So I definitely want to catch up with you on that. And it was a great program. Also, thank you to the Vice Mayor, Anna Thomason, for being here and supporting. Just a couple things, if I may, Chief. We have the ACOPS committee. Vice Mayor Thomason did a great job. That's now in Councilmember Mark Stanton's good hands to continue on with that work. This is the first time we've gathered together in person with our police officers, and I wanted to share with the chief and with the entire team and the community, anybody who's watching, how proud our community is of the ongoing work. I know Chief reminds us that it's a 365-day a year, 24/7 job. We understand that, but we don't live it. You all do, the team here does. And from before the pandemic to through the difficulties of the pandemic to through the difficulties of civil unrest and everything that came after that to now, hopefully we're at the end of that tunnel. The Paradise Valley Police Department has done a tremendous job with our community support. So the community, on the community side, I know Chief and everyone's done a great job reminding us to stay vigilant. As great as our police department is, they can only be at one place at one time. So we're the eyes and ears, like we were hearing about the kids. So thank you for the reminders of what citizens can do, including the 9 o'clock walk that we're reminded of all the time. So hopefully everyone spreads the word. We get more folks here in person, and it's it's an exciting time for PV, and we'll keep up with this. Looking forward to the next guest. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Madam Vice Mayor, any words of encouragement for the town today?
No, except thank you guys for coming and thank you guys every day for doing what you do and being who you are. And other than that, great to see us all here in person.
Yeah, it's nice to be back in person. I also have an advisory committee member here, Jim Hawthorne. Thank you, Jim, for coming. And my town manager here is here as well, Jill Kymack. So thank you all for your interest in this topic and you're visiting us. And there's plenty of coffee. Get to know one of those superheroes in blue. And I just want an unpaid advertisement here. We're doing a shred-a-thon on April 23rd. So make sure that you make an advance reservation for the 23rd so that you get your spot. You can bring 5 boxes of shredding material. We also do electronics that day. Specifics are on these handouts, which are over on the table. You can bring hard drives or something like that with your information that needs to go through a shredding. Questions for me? Please stick around and help me drink the coffee. Otherwise, I'll be jittery.
It's very good.